Arno, and today we are doing an IT stand-up. So that means that we are interviewing the most important people we believe in B2B e-commerce, and that is our IT folks. So, and today in the show we have with me Mikolaj and also Jonathan. So, welcome, guys.
Hi guys.
Hi. Yeah, and just for the people that are also looking at the video. So the guy on the right side is Jonathan, and that is Jonathan, and the other is Mikolaj. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. You are IT specialist at Genesis Import Company, right?
Yes.
Exactly. So thanks for being here. And maybe to start off, one of you can start a little bit. Could you tell a little bit more about the company, what you're selling, for who, what type of customers? I'm always very interested in that.
You want me to start?
Okay, so what we're actually doing, we do in mainly import and export of pickup and camping equipment, specialized for off-road vehicle. And of course, for now, because of the big market, also for overlanding and normal cars. You can imagine rooftop tents and camping equipment. That's our daily life. How we started working with Sana. We started after a few years that we developed everything. We saw that the company is getting much bigger, so we had to have like a scalable ERP system. That's how we found Microsoft, and afterwards a little bit better computer system, shop system, eCommerce system. So that's how we got into contact with Sana.
Okay, yeah, nice to hear that, Jonathan. But we will talk a lot about that later today. But to understand a little bit better for the listeners about the company, so importing and exporting of let's say camping equipment, let's say campers on top of pickup trucks and so on. And what are your typical customers? Are that people that just need that? Let's say they want to go camping and they order directly to you, or are you supplying that to other resellers, for example? Who is your typical customer?
We do both B2B and B2C. B2B is very strong because we actually have specific agreement with producers, and we send all the stuff all over Europe. So we actually have a big warehouse. From there, we get usually the products from South Africa, for example, from Portugal, from China, a few stuff, from England, and then we send it to our dealers all over Europe.
Wow. So yeah, both B2C and B2B. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that later as well in this podcast. So and then maybe more personally. So how do you guys end up into IT? So what are your backgrounds? Maybe Mikolaj, you can start now.
So actually I have a master's degree in psychology and research methodology, so it's very far away from IT. And I ended up in IT completely by accident. So the boss of Genesis Import is a friend of mine, and so when I came back to Germany, he offered me a job because he needed some help with the changing ERP systems. And so I came out to help. Turned out I'm pretty good at working with our ERP systems and other IT systems, and it just kind of stayed,
Oh, natural talent.
Yeah, like 3 years later, I'm still here, and I had no experience with IT. Now I'm in charge. So
okay, cool. And for you, Jonathan?
Well, I study actually mechanical engineering, so I'm more the technical guy, and the CEO of the company and the owner is my father, so I actually didn't have any choice but starting to work. And of course, because on daily basis, everything that we actually do has a lot to do with IT.
Yeah.
So that's how actually I got into it.
Understood. Yeah, for me personally, I knew already from the beginning that I was, I was getting hooked to computers and technology, so I already knew from an early start that say, yeah, I want to do something in that direction. So after let's say primary school and so on, I went to and in middle school I went to university and studied computer science right away. Wanted to become a programmer, but when I was programmer for 2 years, I actually also made a connection to be more on the bridge between programming or technology and business to to close that gap. So more into area of the development management and product management. And now, yeah, I'm chief product officer here at Sana. But besides of that, maybe you do not know, but I am also responsible for the internal IT within the company, or actually within the group of companies we belong to. So also just responsible for the 700 people that we are just supplying in IT for. That is from hardware to software and everything what we need. Um, and that is also a little bit where we're going to talk about today, because for example, if the business or somebody from the company is coming with a new idea, or they want to change something, want to try something new, most of the time, as you already mentioned, Jonathan, IT is everywhere, so IT is involved very, very quickly, right? So in your day-to-day lives, let's say, so what is your what are your biggest obstacles nowadays?
Biggest obstacles.
Or you don't have them, that is also fine.
No, I mean, there is teaching, definitely. I mean, we as an IT department, when we implement a new project, we know exactly how it works, right?
Yeah.
Because right from the beginning. So big part of our job right now is teaching other people, teaching our different teams, so marketing, sales, whatever, how to use the system, how to use it properly, and what possibility it gives to them. So this is, and obviously correcting any mistakes that they do along the way. So this is quite a big part of our day, and also looking for new solutions. So because we as an IT, we are responsible for finding new solutions and implementing them.
Yeah. So actually, if I understand you correctly, are you then maybe more, are you spending your time mostly on, let's say, fighting issues or fighting fires, or would you say you have now more time to spend on, let's say, innovating or advising, like you mentioned, for example, searching for new solutions? How is the balance?
Well, that really depends, because after implementation of certain new apps or new solutions, you need to spend time and focus on the support of the team and maintenance, fixing all the bugs. But then after that, you have more time, and you should, be focused on finding new steps, like new projects that you can be focusing on.
Exactly.
So at the moment, we just finished quite a big project. We're still fixing like few details about it, but right now we're trying to move to the phase of finding a new project to work on, new implementations.
Nice. All right. Yeah, and then taking a step to the in the same direction. For example, business comes to you. Maybe also you can tell a little bit the story further about for how you selected Sana, but you wanted to start with e-commerce, or you had already some e-commerce. Maybe you can tell a little bit, Jonathan, the journey, how that went. So I thought you were saying something, you had built already something yourself, or you had already some e-commerce, or was Sana your first e-commerce you were doing?
So my dad started the company, I think 10 years ago. So this year is actually our 10 years anniversary.
Okay, congrats.
And he started like from himself. From the house, from the cellar. We used to have like products in the cellar. I used to help him carry the stuff on the weekend because I came back from school. And after a few years, they started to work with Lexware, which was like an Excel-based ERP system. The biggest problem that we encounter is after that we grew so fast, the system wasn't scalable enough for us to use it as a daily, everyday life, especially if you think about incoming orders from dealer and B2C. I mean, you have huge lists that need to be updated. We have a lot of containers that come from overseas that need to be like timed in the right way. that's where we had a struggle to think about a solution that will bring us to the next stage. And obviously, I mean, it's in Microsoft Business Central. That what we chose, and of course, on the other hand, we chose also the cloud-based version, which is for us, I think, we are a small team, very flexible, very agile. And I think a lot of companies in Germany don't use the cloud version because they are afraid, mostly because agility, changing. I mean, the most important, I think, in the cloud version, it's that you guys can change it on the fly and we don't even notice it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's a good point that you're making, actually, and I'm already triggered about it. So I heard it so many times, indeed, what you said, and especially in Germany or in the DACH region, that German-speaking area, customers seems to be still hesitate to choose for cloud software. Yeah, so for Sana, we are also in the cloud. We are a native cloud solution, and we are working also with native cloud solutions like Microsoft Dynamics Business Central, for example. One thing is hosting itself, like in the cloud. Another part is also offering it as a software as a service, as a SaaS solution. But talking first about cloud, so not in your, we have seen customers when we started Sana 15 years ago, that they still had their servers in the basement, or in some closets and so on. And then, of course, it moves to data centers and later on to public clouds. But still in the German area, indeed, what you're saying is the customers are a little bit resistant. So what would you say are still then the biggest obstacles for them? Because you are already convinced that we are agile, we are quick, we want to have the flexibility, but there seems to be also a lot of resistance. So what do you think is that resistance that they have?
Well, I think with the pandemics and everything, people doing home office, that the cloud version will be on the rise. Like this was the best way to work right now. Is if you could set like entire teams to go home, work from home office, perfect solution for us. It was absolutely not a problem. So I think more people right now will maybe even in Germany.
But I think in Germany, one of the biggest problems that I see with different companies, different friends of mine that have company, it's for once they don't like the security issues about the cloud. I mean, Germany had a big issue of cloud servers not being in Germany, but outside.
Yeah.
And in general, we are actually, we are not the typical German. I mean, I'm not German. I was born in Israel. Mikolaj is also Polish, and I mean, my mother is Germany, but she was actually the one who found the cloud version ERP system.
Okay,
it was a coincidence because I studied process engineering, and we talked about like ERP system in general in the university, and I showed her like, hey, see this kind of like really good system that we could use. And she was like, oh, wow, I need to have that. And that's actually where everything was born until now, that we're completely cloud-based company.
Yeah, security is often being talked about. And one story I always tell them to customers or to prospects. I had the opportunity once to visit one of the Microsoft Azure data centers. While visiting that in Seattle in the United States, and maybe I was already, of course, a fan of it, and I was already, also with our company from internal IT as well as the software we were making, we were already, of course, front runners. So everything what we have internally is also already for many years in the cloud. But let's say it was a couple of years ago, and when I was visiting in that moment, I was still 50-50 a little bit. So maybe cost is very high, or do we want to have everything there? But after that visit, because I went there for a tour and they took me around. When I saw this, let's say, it's actually a military operation and so structured and on such a large scale, then I realized although we had a pretty big data center in actually right behind this wall, we had 3 or 4 racks of servers and stuff that we were, keeping ourselves. I thought, in comparison with other people, still pretty big, but it's totally nothing in terms of what measurements on that skills they can do on security, failover, and whatsoever. It's like a fortress. It's running like a military operation, and so professionally. I said, when I came back home or back here in the office and shared the pictures or telling the story, I said, you can never replicate that by yourself. Even if you're a big company, the amount. It's just to be good to be part of the bigger scale, because then you can, protect and implement, failovers and stuff on such a better scale. That really convinced me, and I'm trying always to tell that story. And sometimes it helps. Sometimes people still stuck. No, I want to keep that server in the basement or in a data center. And then, of course, you have now indeed what Mikolaj what you were mentioning. The cloud has definitely made a shift there, right, and improved that. I was very happy that I made the decision as an IT manager already 3 or 4 years ago, before the pandemic, to move everything to the cloud, because the day that we went into, let's say, lockdown here in the Netherlands, or actually in our other location in the world as well, there was zero downtime for the people to work. We could directly continue. We were just, instead of meeting physically, we were meeting over Teams or over other systems, and everything was available. So it was really, really easy. And besides that, you also have, of course, the security threats, with ransomware and so on. I think that is another trend that people are more scared, or I think, making quicker steps to move things to the cloud. All right, but let's make the shift a little bit back to e-commerce. This was more about, the backend systems and IT related stuff. But how important is e-commerce nowadays for your business, Jonathan? For your family business, let's say it like that.
Well, that's actually one of the most important things that we have, especially for B2C customer.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, we have B2B customer that we also want to bring on the online platform, let them try and use it better, which is a little bit hard these days. But on the other hand, I mean, after we started to use with Sana, after we started to use like a real online shop, we actually did now a special extension that, if you want, we can tell you about it later. Mm-hmm. For people to be able to use and buy through our shop easier. So I think e-commerce, without e-commerce, we will still have to talk by phone about anyone and write emails, which is actually what we're trying to reduce as much as possible.
Of course. That is also what we often see, especially in B2B e-commerce. We still have a lot of what we call first generation e-commerce. So they're still starting for the first time, or they're replacing one platform. And one of the big benefits there is, of course, that you can reduce so many, let's say, time in people picking up the phone or converting emails into orders, or even fax messages into orders. You can automate it, and then you can spend your time, of course, to really help your customers and be a better, let's say, better company for them, right? More service minded. Yeah, cool. And maybe to touch upon a little bit, so you choose Sana, and you need to set up the store, right? You had Microsoft Business Central in place. How did that journey go? So you need to set up everything and so on and so on. How did you experience that journey?
The setup from ERP to Sana, or Sana shop start and
both, actually. So just starting with e-commerce.
I mean, the process was quite easy. It wasn't like the connection itself between the shop and the ERP is very easy to set up. I mean, organizing everything in the shop, all the shipping methods, payment methods, wasn't that bad. I mean, the thing that I like about Sana is their support, because for me as an IT, the support of the companies that we work with is extremely important, because I want to know that if I have a problem that I cannot solve myself, I can write a ticket or write an email or call someone and I get help right away. So this was actually a great part of working with Sana and creating the shop, because I got support anytime I needed it. So this process itself was actually okay. So it wasn't that much of an issue.
So because you are now already live for a while, I think, and as Jonathan mentioned, e-commerce is important for you. And the let's say so you're combining B2B and B2C. So how does this work? Because for B2B, different way of ordering, or let's say at least you have different prices most of the time than for B2C. How does it work for your implementation, Jonathan?
For our implementation, I mean, B2B, the biggest hustle is there. Of course, you have different discounts. I mean, each dealer from a different country, from a different cost per month per year, he has a different discount. So this is everything that we have to set up in advance. And of course, for dealer, it's the biggest issue is seeing the products, getting the information, maybe putting the information on their own online shop before even buying from us. So all this kind of things had to go into mind when placing stuff in Sana shop. For B2C for us was actually connecting B2C, like the e-commerce platform with all the other social media platform that we have, placing nice pictures, placing the product information right away, making customers see everything. I think one of the stuff that actually a lot of companies forget, it's that most of the people now over social media go over to your shop the first time by phone.
Exactly.
We use an analytics tool, and we have between 60 and 70% of our people go over by phone. It doesn't matter if they buy afterwards by phone or go with the laptop and then order. But that's something that Sana actually made quite easy because it's adaptable. It's really good. I like actually the new version of all the how you call them, different flexi tiles that you can use.
The designer.
The designing platform. I mean, we have now a designer that's working on it.
Okay.
Full time. He's only designing the web shop.
Cool. It's also good.
We're trying to make it a little bit different. I mean, if you look at our front page, that's my father actually. That's the CEO of the company, directly in the front. So
okay. The design is, it's right for your target audience, right? For the people that are liking outdoor, going off-road, camping on the side of a mountain or a river. You directly get that feeling. I'm always getting really, I like that as well. I'm always getting enthusiasm when I'm seeing your website. So, but I love to hear that. I think you're touching a really important thing. So, what you actually just mentioned is that there is quite a difference in what B2B customers want and B2C is. So B2C, it's also important to make it look nice, to be available on social media, different channels. And for B2B, their price that they've negotiated and which is always different and so on is also an important factor. So you see, it's nice, of course, that it's coming together in a platform like Sana, but it's more important to understand these differences. And what I also really like what you're saying is that that you have now a designer who's able to just use the tool to change, let's say, the look and feel of the store, or to make it more attractive for B2C customers, because that's also the philosophy we really believe to. If you talk a little bit more about the bigger trends in IT, we believe that the direction should be really focusing on what we call low-code, no-code platforms that everybody, or without a lot of knowledge on development, could make the changes, because we all know that there is a big run for developers and so on. So how beautiful can it be that everybody, what we call the citizen developers, can just modify the store and optimize it for companies like you. So yeah, that's awesome to hear.
I mean, before we used to use HTML code and then program everything in, but I mean, my designer, he didn't study that. He doesn't know how to work with code. So for me, not having to explain everything and not having to tell him, well, no, about this topic, we need to talk to the IT guys. They need to see how to do it, how to change it. He does it by himself. I mean, it's a trial and error. And then usually you get a nice picture with it that fits also for desktop and also for the phone.
Yeah. No, exactly. That's exactly what we want, So the everybody let us do the programming as software vendors, and then the other people that are good at other things like designing or making the store good for their customers, their consumers. That is where they need to spend time on, and not on development. All right. So in general, the maintenance of the store. So we have to talk a little bit about design, but about pricing changes and so stock changes. Does it require you guys a lot of day-to-day job, or is it actually an IT job to do these modifications, or how does it go?
Well, maintenance itself, it's not very time consuming. I mean, installing new applications in the shop, it can take a little bit more time, especially if you need to have them custom made for you, which we're actually trying to do. But the maintenance, not that much.
Okay. No, I was talking, for example, about price changes. So I think you keep your prices inside the ERP.
Yeah. So this is actually quite new, because the entire logic, everything starting with the prices, starting with the addresses for example, for B2B customers, if they have their regular customers of their own, when they check out, they can choose the address from the address book. So entire logic, like all the information customers have, is coming from the ERP, including the taxes and whatever. So this, as long as you keep everything correct in the ERP system, the shop runs perfectly fine. So
yeah, exactly. Because that's also what we see a lot with traditional e-commerce, or let's say non-integrated e-commerce. Yeah. For example, if you do not have that, then you do not have that integrated. You need to copy that, right? You need to, if you have, for example, your prices on one system, you need to get it to another one. Of course, you can have APIs or a web service or file connections, but still, that will, you need to have some work there. And I think that was also one of the things that we started Sana with, is that we saw so many customers struggle, or at least budgets being spent. Most of the time, a third of the budget that they were having for a new e-commerce storefront, that was spending on integrations, and that is every time more or less the same. So why every time spending that money to hooking up systems together, if you can just spend that time on better on paying your designer to make a beautiful designers like you guys having, right? So that is good to hear. So in general, that you just mentioned is that the maintenance is pretty low, and then we also frequently hear actually that Sana Commerce is the IT department's choice, or the IT's choice. So would you agree with that, or would you say no, it's also fine for marketing, but who's benefiting from the solution?
Well, actually, before we started with Sana, we were in talks with a few other companies that I'm not sure I'm allowed to mention, but
doesn't matter.
No, but in the end, the Sana was the choice, and we also heard it that the Sana is, like, in Europe, it's the number one choice when it comes to e-commerce space, like, but ERP connected to the ERP. So and I agree with that.
Okay. Wow. Great to hear. So then we go a little bit further in the funnel. So we have, let's say, talked about products, nice design with your designer. Then comes, of course, order placements, and people are placing orders. So do you get a lot of order errors, let's say, because of that the systems are not aligned, or is that are you spending a lot of time on that?
Well, most of the issues that we have right now are human-made. So it's not actually what kind of it's our part, because we as an IT, we need to make sure that our processes are as easy and as simple as it gets, so the customer don't have even possibility to make a mistake. But as I said, it's not the system errors; it's more like a human error. So, for example, someone chooses the wrong shipping address or wrong payment method. So this sort of thing.
Okay.
Mostly.
Yeah. So you're not experiencing, because we see still on the research that we are doing that some non-traditional, or let's say more traditional e-commerce systems, they tend to have more errors because if for example pricing changes in one system and in the other system, you place an order and something is there, right? So there is a difference and there's a mistake, or a product is not available anymore. Even worse, you want to go camping and there is no stock anymore. So the only thing that now is happening is that the people are making maybe sometimes a mistake, that they're selecting a wrong address, and that can still happen. And of course, we can still further improve the product to avoid these things as well. But I think that is just a tiny part of all things that can go wrong, of what we see with other solutions, or with when customers are coming to us.
Yeah, and I mean, that's actually one of our best feedback that we get. I mean, if we put something new in the shop or we change something and we see especially the B2C customer using it without making any problems, this
is the best part of having a shop directly connected with your ERP system, because everything is instant, everything is synchronized right away.
Yeah.
Any discounts that you want to have, you can set specific date in Business Central, and then the day comes and it's fully automatic. You have the discount exactly the way you want it. So to be honest, I cannot even imagine right now having a shop not connected to the ERP system. The amount of work, like with the prices and inventory levels and everything that it would require, it's just unbelievable. So.
Yeah, that would be worse if you're in that situation.
I can't even imagine updating the stock information every single time, when you sell something. Especially with our business model, when we import a lot of stuff, this would be a nightmare.
Yeah, lucky you. The ugly truth is sometimes that, at least, I'm talking to so many prospects or customers or people that are moving to Sano, or when I'm just talking with people in the industry, I'm every time surprised. Of course, at the larger companies, and the big enterprises, now even there we also still see that there's so many companies still shifting files around or doing manual changes between the systems, or having issues with connecting APIs and so on. So I still believe there is a big world to win there. But nice to hear that you guys are on the better side of things. So maybe Jonathan, a more question for you, because you were just mentioning. So what you told about some extension you created or to shop better, but the question I actually had prepared is, what's your favorite feature? But maybe that will be your favorite feature. But what feature for this in the store that we that you have created?
Okay, so the extension actually has to do with how we work. I mean, with today. Bottlenecks in delivery time and production issues, that we are not the only one who's suffering from this kind of stuff.
Mostly,
the COVID brought a lot of surprises to everyone. So we placed orders for the people for stuff that is not already in stock. So our system usually worked that people call us, people talk to us, when is the stuff available? Especially B2B guys, because they want to plan ahead what they will buy for the whole year. So what my dad actually gave us the work to, and that's actually Mikolaj and my mom used to do it most of the time, is to build an extension with Sana together that will show the customers when the stuff will be available. Because till now we had in stock or out of stock.
Yeah.
And so most of the stuff was out of stock, sorry. it was reserved already. I mean, if we bought few 100 tents and we had 18 reservation, I mean, the 20 will not be visible. So our system now shows you when the stuff will be available if we order it.
Exactly.
So our dealers can see when stuff is available. They don't need to ask us when they're with customers. And B2C customers can plan ahead, because if they don't want their camper or the roof tent or the awnings now, because it's winter and nobody wants to camp in the winter.
Too cold.
We have a lot of customers that camp in the winter, but I'm the beach warm weather guy. So that's actually made our work so much easier. With one extension.
No, exactly, and that's also possible with Sana. And the point is there that what I really like is that you say that will improve, of course, the relation that you have with your dealers. And if they like to use your software, like to use your e-commerce, they will come back. And then, for example, pricing is important, but maybe not that important anymore, because if it's convenient to order with you, then they will come back again and again, because they have these features like this, right? So, nice to hear. If I change the question a little bit and make it for Mikolaj, so what do you think, besides of this one, Mikolaj, but what are the things that are also mostly used in the store in terms of features by your customers? So what is a lot being used in terms of functionality?
In terms of functionality?
Yeah.
Get our button.
That's the best. That would be the best answer. Yeah.
That is an interesting question.
Anyway, you can think a little bit about it, but you mentioned already, Jonathan, the checkout button. That's always nice. But I think in general, if I look at your store, then you are such a specialist already in the field, and making a beautiful design connected with social media and so on. So maybe for B2C, it's that connection it's maybe a set of features, but in general, to bring customers from social channels to your web store is, I think, a big attractor or starting of the funnel. So at least I see that happening a lot in the data if I look at your store. So that's awesome. That's awesome. A little bit at the end of the podcast, I always ask, okay, what are the future plans or what are the future dreams? So, Jonathan, do you have any future dreams with the web store or with Genesis for the coming months, years?
I have a big list of stuff that I would love to do, but then it's mostly about what makes sense, what's most important. The first hustle will be changing the whole design. Completely. For every page, we want also like every product page to be done properly. In the future, I hope actually to have people be able to buy when they come to us or they come to the show completely through a standalone tablet. Buying, paying, and getting the product as fast as possible. Now we do actually most of the selling that we do like over the shop are like orders, like normal orders. What we want to do, and that's actually what we are working now on, is with pay via mail. That might come. It's letting the customer buy directly. It doesn't matter if we are on the show, if it's in our showroom, if it's at home. Everything via the web shop, easy and convenient.
Exactly. Yeah, that should definitely be possible, and it's a great next step to take, right? To just take from every channel your orders and bring them in through Sana using the same logic which you already have stored inside your ERP system. Because why waste your time to duplicate all of that? We are almost running out of time, but if I summarize a couple of key messages that I had, I really like the chat that we had about the visual designer and how it helps your designer that you have to build this beautiful web store, and without a lot of knowledge of HTML or programming languages. So that's awesome to hear, and how important that is. I also like, Mikolaj, that you are now so used to the integration and how things are connected to each other that you cannot imagine how it if that would not be in place. So that's definitely an important thing to understand, and why this is so important. And lastly is how you in the beginning we talked a little bit about how you're selecting software or how you're doing that, that you're really playing in an advisory role for the company. It's a really family business, and how IT and business are working together to find agile solutions, and that cloud solutions are typically helping there more than non-cloud solutions. So that is maybe another argument to make a step for customers that are not there into that direction, because things like security or other stuff, I can definitely say that that you cannot do that all by yourself. It's really the scale, the size of the companies that are offering that is not easy to replicate, and you can better join it and enjoy it instead of trying to make it yourself. So first of all, I want to thank you both, Mikolaj and Jonathan, and for this moment, for this podcast. My name is Arno from Sana Commerce, and see you next time. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you
guys. Thanks.
Bye.